Good morning. It's 11:30 Eastern Time, and that means, it's Tuesday, and that means it's time for First Chapter Fun. I think I'm live on Facebook, looking like I am, looking good, the video, and I'm live on Instagram. Good morning, Hank. Good morning, Liza. This is fantastic. Maureen's here as well. We have Jennifer Jumba. I was watching Jennifer and Jen and Hank's interview yesterday on Facebook, which was absolutely brilliant. If you missed it, it's on the am I going to say this right? Cuyahoga Library. Ugh, just terrible with pronunciation. Anyway, it's Tuesday. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that means it's time for First Chapter Fun. My name is Hannah Mary McKinnon, and this is the place where twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we read to you. Hank Philippi Ryan and myself will read you the first chapter of a different book, not ours, but other people's, twice a week, the days with a T, tea with Hannah and Hank. So how is everyone doing? Let me move my stuff around here a little bit. I hope you're okay. I had a bit of a weird morning so far. I went out for a walk and tripped over my own feet. They are rather large, but still, I've had them for almost 50 years, so you'd think I'd be used to them by now. And then sitting here rearranging a hair appointment, which I won't get until October, I rolled over my own foot, well, my own toe actually, with my office chair. So not hugely successful so far, but a parcel made up for it. I received a parcel with 6 books. You can never have too many books, can you? And one of them was Forget You Know Me by Jessica Strouser, which we read on First Chapter Fun. It's in the archive. I'll get back to that. And this one, He Will Be My Ruin by K.A. Tucker, read from Kathleen's book, The Simple World. No, it wasn't. I can't remember now. Oh my goodness. Anyway, this title, He Will Be My Ruin, has to be one of my favourite titles for a book ever. And I got some other ones as well. So rolling over my toe and tripping all seemed to just disappear because I got 6 books, so I can't really argue with that. So if this is the first time you've joined First Chapter Fun, don't worry, this is episode 80. You heard that right, 80. We are barreling towards the 100th episode, which is just incredible. And all of the episodes have been saved in our archive on Instagram, because I'm broadcasting on Instagram on my phone here, on IGTV on First Chapter Fun, and for Facebook in our First Chapter Fun group. All of the videos are saved under the videos tab, which in the new Facebook is media and then videos. So you can watch them all. If this is your first time, you have 79 episodes to go and catch up on. And that way your reading list, your to-read list, will definitely be out of control. But hey, that's okay, right? We don't mind. We love books, so it doesn't matter. And speaking of books, let me tell you about the book I'm reading from today. Liza Nash Taylor's debut, Etiquette for Runaways. Let me see on Instagram. I'm trying to hold that up. Yes, I think you can see that gorgeous cover. And on Facebook, I've just got to move my head around a bit. Yes, you can see that as well. That is the book I'm reading from today. Now, this is Liza's actually first promotional event, and we are truly honoured that she chose First Chapter Fun for it to be the first promo event for her book. And we can't wait to introduce you to this lovely, gorgeous book, which publishes next week. So Liza is with us. I don't know why I can't see any comments on Facebook. I don't know if anyone's watching. I hope so. But I can't see any comments at all on Facebook. I don't know why. I hope there are lots of people who can see this, because I can't see whether Liza has joined us or not on Facebook, but I know she's definitely watching on Instagram. So here are the rules. Because Liza's here and watching, you get to interact with her while I read. You can leave a question, you can leave a comment, you can ask her anything you wish, anything you'd like to know. But On Instagram, the comments will disappear. Don't worry, I will save this video, of course, and it will be on our IGTV. But the live comments, they just get booted. They disappear, and you won't be able to interact with Liza. So if you have a burning question on Instagram, ask it now so she can respond. Whereas on Facebook, the comments will just sit there because the video is saved as is, including all of the comments. Speaking of being booted, if I get booted out by one or the other platform, which does happen sometimes because, you know, doing live stuff, that's just the way it goes. Don't worry if the screen goes dark or whatever, it's probably me, not you. And I will come back and restart the broadcast on whichever platform has decided they don't like me and chuck me out. So don't you worry, I will be back. So, Etiquette for Runaways. This is the book we're reading from today. Let me show you that on Instagram. It's a bit tricky with the light today. There we go. And on Facebook, more kind of face on for Facebook. There we are. That is what I'm reading from for you today. So let me introduce you to Liza. And I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm blind. Not really, but I can't see very well. All right, so Liza Nash Taylor was a 2018 Hawthornden International Fellow and received her MFA from Vermont College of Fine Arts. The 2016 winner of the San Miguel Writers' Conference Fiction Prize, her work has appeared in Microchondria II, or is it Microchondria II? I'm not sure. Gargoyle Magazine and Deep South, amongst others. A native Virginian, she lives in Keswick with her husband and dogs. And I had to ask Liza, I said, when I lived in the UK, up north, I lived near a place called Keswick, spelled Keswick with the W. But I had to ask Liza, do you say the W? Do you pronounce the W? And apparently with this American Keswick, you say the W. But for me in the UK, you'd say Keswick. If you said Keswick in the north of England, they'd know you're a tourist. So isn't that funny? It's really, really odd. These little differences between countries. So here's the cover again, and as I mentioned, this is Liza's debut, and it's just gorgeous. You have to listen. Well, of course you have to listen because you're here, but it's so intriguing. Historical fiction, but actually inspired by true events. So let me tell you a little bit about the book Etiquette for Runaways. A sweeping jazz-age tale of regret, ambition and redemption, inspired by true events, including the Great Moonshine Conspiracy Trial of 1935 and Josephine Baker's 1925 debut in Paris. 1924. May Marshall is determined to spend the dog days of summer in self-imposed exile at her father's farm in Keswick, Virginia. Following a naive dalliance that led to heartbreak and her expulsion from Mary Baldwin College, May returns home with a shameful secret, only to find her father's orchard is now the site of a lucrative moonshining enterprise. Despite warnings from the one man she trusts, her childhood friend Bird, she joins her father's illegal business. When authorities close in and her father, Henry, is arrested, May goes on the run. May arrives in New York City, determined to reinvent herself as May Valentine and succeed on her own terms, following in her mother's footsteps as a costume designer. The jazz-age city glitters with both opportunity and the darker temptations of cocaine and nightlife. From a start mending sheets at the famed Biltmore Hotel, May falls into a position designing costumes for a newly formed troupe of African-American entertainers bound for Paris. Reveling in her good fortune, May will do anything for the chance to go abroad, and the lines between right and wrong begin to blur. When Bird shows up in New York, intent upon taking May back home, she pushes him and her past away. In Paris, May's run of luck comes to a screeching halt, spiralling her into darkness as she unravels a painful secret about her past. May must make a choice: surrender to failure and addiction, or face the truth and make amends to those she has wronged. But first, she must find self-forgiveness before she can try to reclaim what her heart craves most. Doesn't that sound so interesting? And so I'm always astonished and amazed and in awe of people who write historical fiction, because the amount of research and the levels of research and the level of detail that you have to achieve, you know, that the right clothes, the right music, the right terminology, the right language, the right everything. And you know, you get a button wrong and someone will know. Whereas the stuff I write, I can just yes, sure, there's stuff about, I write thrillers, so about the proper way to murder someone, brackets, not at all, preferably, thank you very much, but the correct way, or however, those legal implications and things like that. But in comparison to historical fiction, it just blows my mind. I don't think I would ever have the guts to attempt historical fiction, actually. And I'm always in awe of those who do. And this book just sounds absolutely amazing. My aunt used to sing jazz. She passed recently, but she used to sing jazz, and she was really, so I bet you she would have got a real kick out of this book. So this novel, Etiquette for Runaways by Liza Nash Taylor, publishes next week on August 18th. So you can already, not right now, but make a note to go and pop it in on your list, on your Goodreads, or from your indie bookstore, or wherever you get your books from. Go and pop it in your to buy basket, because let me tell you, once you've heard the first chapter, you'll just have to know what happens next. So without further ado, this is Etiquette for Runaways by Liza Nash Taylor, Chapter 1. Keswick, Virginia, 1924. It was a small drama, glimpsed by chance. The hawk winged upward, rising over the hayfield. As it receded toward the fence line, May could see that it held some prey, a small rabbit or a squirrel. Fresh cut hay meant exposure, easy pickings. She craned forward over the kitchen sink toward the open window, hoping to catch sight of it again. Raising her heavy braid, she let the breeze cool her tanned, sweat-dampened neck. The calico curtains fluttered inward like a limpid wave, then billowed away from the window with a sudden gust. The air moving over the mountains carried the sweet green scent of the field, along with the charge of a summer storm. Inside, it picked up the odours of cold breakfast bacon and a single rotting onion hiding in the pantry. Winding through the farmhouse kitchen, it nudged open the screen door a few torpid inches, warped wood scraping over the patch where the linoleum had worn through. The hawk was gone. The field was as before, rolling green up to the tree line. Beyond, the southwest mountains appeared to pulsate with humidity and heat. The telephone jangled in the hall, interrupting the metronomic droning of cicadas that was the anthem of the dog days. Sometimes, if May allowed herself to listen, a half-hour might pass. Truth be told, she didn't mind losing time here and there. These little respites helped the day go by. Mornings she was nearly through. Afternoon and night would come and go, and then it would all begin again. Delphina would ask once more, "What's wrong, chérie? Why won't you eat this? Why won't you talk to Bird when he calls? Why won't you leave the house?" Mostly she kept it where it belonged, the dark time. Still there were moments when memory caught her unawares, and despair perched on her shoulder, weighing her down in oppressive blackness. Plucking at her collar, she fanned herself, willing the pressure behind her eyes to cease. Her dress was loose, gaping to expose a pale crescent of flesh around the neckline. A year ago, the dress had fit perfectly. She had spent the previous summer sewing every moment she wasn't working at her father's market, and when she was there, standing behind the counter, she sketched the stylish dresses from Vogue on paper bags and butcher paper. She had saved her wages for dress fabric, and at the beginning of August she bought a stylish straw cloche with a ribbon that matched the green of her eyes, and white gloves with a pearl button from Miller and Rhodes, because that was where the smart Richmond girls shopped. The college girls. But that was last summer. The dress that hung on her now had not become larger. It was May herself who had... What was the word? She shook off the cicada song. Diminished, she thought, smoothing her collar. Yes, diminished. What a perfect word. The telephone stopped and she wondered idly who had called. There was no one she wanted to speak to. From the front hall she heard Delphina's voice saying, "Marshall residence?" But May couldn't make out the rest. The kitchen door swung inward. With a declarative "Mon Dieu!" Delphina pushed it open with her hip, her hands occupied in knotting a scarf at the back of her neck. Beneath the scarf her hair was greying, but her light brown skin was taut on her tall, narrow frame. May turned on the water, letting it run cool over her wrist. Delphina gave a final tug to her scarf, then deftly fastened an apron, turning her back as she tied the strings behind her. "Blue says you'd best get over to the market. Says there's 2 carfuls of revenue agents out front, banging on the door." May's hand froze on the tap. The bowl overflowed in the sink. "Revenue agents? It's Sunday morning, for Christ's sake." "He's sure?" Delphina quirked her mouth. "They're shouting, 'Open the door! Bureau of Internal Revenue!' That might have given him a hint. Lord have mercy, I told you. How many times have I told you not to get mixed up in this mess? Just another of your daddy's crazy ideas. All these years I've worked for him, he has never had a single lick, not one single solitary lick. He wants to take risks, it's his business, but it's another thing convincing Blue. And now you two? I told you it was foolishness, but oh no, you had to go and..." She flicked her hand toward the door. "Get on over there!" May clutched her braid as if she were climbing a rope, as if a trapdoor might magically open above her. Her eyes flitted from the line of mason jars on the kitchen table to the wall clock and back again. "I need to get Daddy up. Is there coffee left?" Delphina began assembling canisters and utensils, her movements swift and stiffly efficient, with her mouth a tight line. Without looking up, she pointed a wooden spoon toward the ceiling. "Dead asleep." She raised one eyebrow. "I heard the truck come in around sunrise. He won't be stirring any time soon." Waving the spoon toward the jars, she said, "Get those smelly things out of my kitchen. I already told you yesterday. And shut that water off." May closed the tap and glanced at the clock again, steeling herself. Why didn't we come up with a plan? Breathing hard, she banged through the swinging door into the hall, tugging the knot of her apron. It fell behind her as she bolted up the stairs, resting her dress over her head until a button popped, pinging against the stairs. Crossing the upper hall, she took aim, heaving the wadded dress against her father's closed door. With an unsatisfying whisper, it slid to the floor like a deflated balloon. In her room, she rifled through her closet, tossing her good shoes over her shoulder. There was no time for stockings. Sweat beaded her forehead as she raked a brush through her hair. She sniffed an armpit, then doused herself with eau de cologne. The buttons of her second-best dress were suddenly cumbersome, the buttonholes a little too small. Shoes and gloves in hand, she hurried breathlessly back downstairs, snatching her cloche from the coat rack. In the kitchen, Delphina tapped flour through the sifter, humming with an affected disinterest that was, May knew, intended to convey a message. She understood the message as well as if Delphina had shouted it, but now was just not the time. There was a situation to be dealt with, and she had no plan. May sat to fasten her shoes, and the buckles seemed to fight the straps. She said, "If I'm not back in an hour, wake Daddy and tell him to call the lawyer. That's Mr. Honeycutt. Damned shoes! But if he's still drunk, I mean Daddy, not Mr. Christ Almighty. If he's still drunk, do not let him call the market. And put caps on those jars for me in case they come to the house. Oh, Delphi, please." Delphina parried her spoon in May's direction, narrowing her eyes. "If federal agents come to this house, I will not be here. Today is my day off anyhow. I'm not even here right now. You understand me?" Her mouth puckered as she resumed her humming, a little louder than before. May pulled on her gloves, and as the screen door slammed behind her, Delphina called from inside, "Bring me back a pound of butter if they don't arrest you." On the long porch, a brindle and white bulldog lay panting, leaning against the clapboard. Tail thumping, she raised herself and lumbered down the steps. Above, the storm clouds that had looked so promising earlier were moving away across the mountains, as if fleeing the scene. The dog trotted behind May and jumped into the cab of the farm truck, settling herself heavily against the passenger door. The seat was hot against May's legs, the steering wheel hotter, even through her gloves. "Sweet tiny baby Jesus," May said to the dog. "Blossom, we should have had a plan." Her father had told her in June, "Those revenue agents won't bother with us. Oh, no, we're small potatoes. They go after the big operations. This is only temporary, a little boost. Quick cash. Help me out this summer. Quick cash. Anybody shows up asking questions, just stay cool and talk real slow. I'll handle it. The less you know, the better." Holding her breath, May pushed the starter switch. "Please, God of all truck engines," she implored, "not today." On the third attempt, it roared to life. It was a short drive to her father's market, and she accelerated, lurching over the long rutted driveway toward Route 22. At the end of the drive, a peeling white sign hung on a post, "Keswick Farm and Orchard." Below was a rusty mailbox, and on a wooden stake, closer to the road, stood May's home-painted sign, now covered in a layer of road dust. "Sewing and alterations, inquire within." She pulled onto the road, heading eastward. Fitfully she circled one wrist with the other. Would they use handcuffs? They might. They might have already searched the market. They might have been tipped off. There could be reporters and photographers. She checked the rearview mirror. The road behind was clear. Dread wedged in her throat like a cherry pit, along with an all-too-familiar sick humiliation that settled low and cold and heavy in her stomach, as it had on another Sunday morning a few months before, that lovely late April morning that had seemed so glorious. Then all May had been able to do was stand there, frozen by the shock and disappointment in her French teacher's eyes. When there was no possible explanation as to how May happened to be exiting an off-campus hotel at 7 a.m. on the arm of a young man, the hotel that was right next to the church that celebrated Mass at 6. She had remained frozen while the teacher insisted she come immediately to the dean's office, while Amori backed away, hands raised, then turned and left her there on the sidewalk. Amori, where are you going? You have to come with me. You have to explain to the dean that we're... Amori, please come back." The teacher's look turned to pity. May had stood mute as the dean, a smear of shaving cream still quivering on his neck, telephoned her father, tersely explained that her scholarship was revoked. "Come at once, Mr. Marshall. Take your daughter home. She has no place here." May banged the steering wheel. "Another stupid decision, May." She had started out following the rules. No riding in automobiles with gentlemen without a chaperone, no unescorted trips off campus, hats, gloves, chapel on Sundays. And then along came Amori Whitman with trouble written all over him. And then the dark time had come. Isn't that great? That was chapter 1 of Etiquette for Runaways by Liza Nash Taylor, which publishes, let me try and get that on Instagram, there we go, which publishes next Tuesday on August 18th, and I can't wait to find out what May does and where she goes. Well, we know she goes to Paris, but what happens? What happens once she's there? And what happens when her friend Bird shows up? And what happens? I think we all need to know. And that is, I have to say, an absolutely stunning cover too. Absolutely amazing. So that was today's read on First Chapter Fun. Let me show you, no, wrong way. Let me show you the book we have lined up for you for Thursday's episode of First Chapter Fun, and it is called Deprivation, and it is by Roy Freirich. Freirich, I would say, with my German background, but that's probably not how you would pronounce it. Freirich, I guess. So this is Thursday's read. A really, really, really interesting book, and I cannot wait for us to introduce this to you on Thursday, again at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as it is always every Tuesday and every Thursday, the days with a T, Tea with Hannah and Hank. My Instagram keeps going dark. I hope it didn't drop me. It's very strange. I think my boys messed around with a setting on my phone or something, because they said, you keep wasting your battery. Anyway, life with teens. Always fun and never a dull moment. So this was it for today, or that was it, or this is it, or here we are at the end of today's episode of First Chapter Fun. I do hope you enjoyed the reading today, and I definitely hope you will be joining us again on Thursday and every Tuesday and Thursday. If you can't make the live readings, don't forget, they are always saved in our archive on Instagram, IGTV, and the videos or media tab on the Facebook group. So until Thursday, say it with me. Stay safe, stay kind, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for watching.